I thought record as they were talking about that, but every time I go in there, do you have a manual hatchback? No,
No,
we
you
have
are.
automatic.
All
If you
right,
like.
cool.
No, I'm good.
All right, we're on.
Oh, my
Hey guys,
apologies.
we're back again, Midnight Oil Live. I've got Ken Biddulph here. He is a service manager, senior service manager. Got a local Acura dealership. We're gonna ask him a bunch of questions about how to deal with the dealership. But before we do that, we're gonna get to some questions that were left on our YouTube channel last time. So let's get to those real quick. So the first one's from Andrew Remelb. I don't know if that's Remelb. Anyway, so when installing the coolant temp sensor for a gauge cluster in an EG, do you use Teflon tape when threading into the thermostat housing? No. If I use anything, I use Honda Bond. So, but Teflon tape usually is not necessary when assembling a Honda thing. But you will quite often use a little dab of, it's actually a tapered thread system, so a lot of times on tapered threads, people recommend using Teflon tape, but I just use a little bit of Honda Bond on it. And sometimes some liquid Teflon, I use that too. But the Teflon tape, it's just difficult to work with, just use a Honda Bond. All right, so then we have David Webb, says, can you run a K20A or A2 engine from a can you run a K20A or A2 engine using a K20Z2 wiring harness and ECU? This is for 2006, 2009 FD Civic from Australia. Yeah, you're going to have to probably lengthen a few things here and there, unless because the location of the throttle body is different and stuff like that. Yeah, but or throttle body. Or you modify the intake manifold so you can use the stock throttle body. That's going to be a couple of things you're going to wind up having to work with. The intake manifold, yeah, if you wind up switching throttle bodies and using the older style throttle, well, actually, let's back up here. You're going to wind up using a drive-by-wire throttle body. And because of that, you're going to wind up having to use probably a different manifold or manifold adapter. And things are going to be in slightly different place or location, so you're going to have to move the wiring around a little bit. But yeah, there's nothing that says you can't use that wiring harness with that engine. Just going to have to make sure it gets connected to the right connectors. There may be a slight difference with the way the crank angle sensor works, but you can just take the one out of your old engine, or you can take the connector off an RSX harness and use that. I'd have to double check that for sure, but that seems to me that would be the only problem. Everything else is the same type of connector. And then we have Society del Sols has a question. In response to Brian's statement at 9 minutes and 10 seconds, what if someone was to have something like an MPC drop forks and drop lower control arms, which would give the suspension more travel because the coils would sit higher? Would that help a lowered car on the rumble strips with sudden changes? That's the same as shortening the shock body, so yes, it would. The only problem would be if your control arms bottomed out onto the chassis or something like that. So, you know, there's a limit to how much travel you can have with those setups. But definitely drop control arms and shortened shock bodies would allow you to have more travel, because basically what happens is you're not dropping the ride height by compressing the shock. You're doing it by basically raising the you're leaving that alone. You're adjusting a different part of the ride height in order to do that. So yes, that would actually help somewhat.
What was that in reference to?
I don't remember what the conversation was.
Strips?
Was rumble strips had to do with bouncing on curbs when we were racing?
about
You guys remember what it was about?
That's probably what Chris had asked when
Chris.
he hit the sun movement on this. When he hit it.
Oh,
and
that
Yeah.
caused him to. That was interesting. I watched the in car. I think that was just he entered a little too hot. It looked like.
That's what I told him too, but he says no.
Well,
That's a corner easy to over-rotate the car. And
yeah,
just,
I mean, if you're banging curbs, you want to have a bit of suspension travel. Otherwise, you're going to bottom stuff out and hurt yourself. The other thing you want to make sure is you want to make sure you have bump stops, so you're not crashing the shock body into the top of the travel. You want to actually have the bump stop there to slow that down a little bit. But having a shortened shock body or drop lower control arms, I would prefer to do it with shortened shock bodies, but drop lower control arms would work as well. The only problem I see with those is they're generally made of aluminum, not steel, so they may or may not be as strong. But
like the front forks, or are we talking
yeah,
about the,
exactly. But you know that's certainly an acceptable way to do it. And I'm just speaking logically. I don't know if they've been tested and are as strong as the steel ones. They may very well be. So
They are normally pretty
I'm not
bulky
sure what
looking.
they do look good, but I'm not sure how. Typically, aluminum has to be 40% thicker than steel in order to be as strong as steel. So, and I don't recall them being that much
No, I
thicker.
don't think they are.
So, but that doesn't mean they're not strong enough. All right. So, Simon Torres asked, "Are all you guys from Arizona or just Chris?"
I'm the only one actually from Arizona, born
You were
and
born
raised
here,
here.
yeah. But all of us live here. Yeah,
From one place to another, we
Yeah.
all live here now.
yeah. We all live here in Arizona. So,
Because we
Chris,
can drive our cars year round.
Chris was the latest one to move here, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
So,
he was.
he was in, although he lived in Prescott before, I forgot about that. And then he
Yeah.
moved to Wisconsin and back down to
Payson.
Arizona. So, yeah, he's been here a while.
I think Ken was actually the last one to join us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a bit over a year now.
Is it just over a year?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, maybe Chris was here before you then.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
so.
he's worked at Hassport for a year. Yeah. All right. Sorry to ask some stupid. I'm sorry. This is from Dio Yiking. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that even remotely
Screw
correct.
names.
Sorry to ask some stupid question, but I do want to swap a K24A2 6-speed manual transmission into my 3rd gen Fit. Is there any suggestion? We do have mounts and axles for K20 soft. Will that work on a K24A2? I'm in China, so there's less support. It's possible I need to do it by myself, so just want to have as much information as I can. I have watched all the videos you have, but still want to have some more detailed information. So on the couple things about that. With the 3rd gen Fit, at least the ones that are sold in the U.S., those electronics are more similar to the 2012 to 2015 Civic Si, which is a K24Z. That one will probably wind up being a little bit easier swap in that car electronically. If you don't mind doing a lot of wiring, you can put the other one in there, but you wind up having to backdate the electronics in that particular year Fit to that of the 2006 to 2011 Civic, and that would be the wiring harness you would use with that engine, and of course that would be the ECU you would use as well, so it would remain a drive-by-wire car. If you're thinking about converting it to drive-by throttle cable, then standalone ECU, totally wired differently, use like a K-Pro or something, and that'd be the way I'd do that. But honestly, this requires a lot more. I mean, this requires probably a half-hour conversation. So I'm going to just kind of leave it at that.
We need to do a video on the specifics of all the Fit chassis and what swaps are best for them. Because I feel like a lot of people are starting to like the Fits and wanting
I
to
think the
swap
Fits are
them.
becoming, particularly they're actually rather popular in Southeast Asia and Asia. So yeah, that probably wouldn't be a bad idea. We do. Hassport, by the way, does make mounts and axles for the K series swap into the 3rd gen Fit, the GK Fit. So those are available. So getting the engine isn't a problem. It's getting it wired. That might prove to be a little more difficult with that older motor. If you're going to use a newer motor, a little bit easier. All right, cool. Well, that wraps up our old questions. So let's get to you, Ken Biddulph. Ken.
Introduce them again, since most people are new
Ken
now.
works at a local Acura dealership. What's the name of the Acura dealership?
It's actually Honda, it's AutoNation Honda, yes,
AutoNation Honda.
yes.
Very good. Oh,
Yeah.
you used to work at an Acura dealership.
I did for years, yes.
Right, okay, my bad.
Yeah.
AutoNation is a large dealership.
Yes.
So, in the grand scheme of things with their service stuff, how busy is that particular store you're at?
This particular store does about 300 to 400 cars a day.
Wow,
Wow.
that's
So-
huge.
They're busy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the reason we asked Ken here today is he's got quite a lot of experience with Honda, Acura, with the service department, and there's a lot of things that people may not be aware of if you want to go in and have your car serviced at a Honda dealership. There's and a lot of our customers don't typically have new Hondas, but they have relatives or wives or brothers and sisters that have new Hondas, and they may be going to the dealership quite a bit. So,
And the popularity of the attention Civic has gotten so much. There's a lot of Honda
Oh.
guys. They're younger. They're getting these are their first new from the dealership with a warranty
Yes.
cars.
absolutely, the 1010 Civic and
'Cause they've
the
come-
new Type R,
Yeah.
and actually the new Cord's really nice too.
Oh, it is.
Check it out.
But actually, the Civics
Yeah.
are in the good price range where
Right.
guys are buying them
Where
now.
people are
They're,
buying-
yeah, they haven't had new cars before.
So that's why we thought it was important for Ken to come talk with us. He's been hanging out with us at Tacos for a year. Basically, he used to work for Heel Toe Automotive as well. Did their content management
Database, all kinds of
database.
things,
Okay, yeah. So you've got a lot of experience with Hondas. You've owned quite a few too. You have an S2000.
Yep.
You recently sold your RL to my son.
Mhm.
You have a Pilot.
Yeah, the Turbo
Uh,
Series E.
That's
Yep.
Turbo. Oh, that's a Turbo
Yep.
C or Z. Totally forgot about that.
All kinds of things.
Did that void the warranty?
It sure did.
Oh, okay.
I was okay with it too.
All right, yeah. So my wife, you know, I buy her a brand new Ridgeline. I
Mhm.
haven't yet. She doesn't like it. She likes the old Ridgeline. But let's say I bought her a brand new Ridgeline.
Sure.
And what's the importance of you when she comes to the service department?
The importance of me is to kind of address, first of all, what you can expect in the next couple of years of ownership. You know, you buy a brand new Ridgeline, and you're gonna wonder about all kinds of features. Their cars are just loaded now with computers, safety features. Quite often, owners don't even know what those features do. Be amazed how many things go on in a car that people have for several years and they don't even realize this one feature does that for them.
And you'll take me, I mean, I can come in and talk to you and say, show me what my truck can do, cause I don't
Exactly.
know, and you'll take the time. to-
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
a good service
That's
advisor
so cool.
will actually go out into your vehicle with you, sit and, you know, next to you and kind of go over some of these things. Whether if it's Bluetooth or the navigation system, or I had a gal the other day insisting that her car was possessed and the blower motor was ready to go. It turned out it was just the rear climate control on her Odyssey was set by her grandkids to just blow on max. No matter what she did on her
Yeah, because
end.
it's a separate system.
Right, so she's fiddling around with the front climate control going, why is this so noisy? I don't understand. And then I'm checking it and I'm like, well, it sounds like it's the rear climate. So I turn it off and sure enough, it's whisper quiet for the AC system. But, you know, just something as simple as that, you know, clients come in and they don't necessarily understand just how complex these newer cars are. They've got lots of great features, but not everyone wants to sit down and crack open the owner's manual and go over it for hours and hours.
I had to have Honda Pro Jason explain to me how the RL works.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we have a friend, a lot of you guys know who he is, Honda Pro Jason, does a lot of YouTube videos, and we'll go over a lot of the features of these cars and stuff like that. But sometimes, rather than his glossing over in a matter of seconds, you need somebody to sit down and hold your hand and show it to you 3 times
Right.
until you understand it, and
Exactly.
that's one of the things a service advisor can do. Maintenance on a car is the service advisor is supposed to be basically guiding you through what you need to do with your car in order to keep it up to warranty and things like that. But by the same token, they're also supposed to advise you on things that are under warranty that you may not even be aware of that are warranty. What kind of things are we talking about with that?
A good example, not necessarily applicable these days, but still in some cases, the pilots. They've got compliance bushings, and we always check them if they're under 100,000 miles. Quite often they can actually be replaced.
Okay.
And we're talking like 2012, right around there, and under 100,000 miles, and people say, hey, I got a noise. They're well outside of warranty otherwise, but there is an actual, you know,
Like an extended warranty or
extended
something like
warranty
that?
service bulletin.
Very good.
And we end up documenting it, taking photos and sending it to Honda, and especially in Phoenix, where it's dry and you get a lot of rubber
gets,
issues.
Rubber
Yep.
gets worn out, it tears,
So,
yeah.
you know, just one brief example, there are a
Yeah.
lot of things, LED headlights on the Accords, for example, like especially like 16 and 17s. Even that little LED strip, if it's partially out,
Yeah.
stop
Or you
in.
can have
to
one or
your-
2 dead.
Correct, yeah, stop in at your Honda dealer, get that taken care of, even if you're beyond the 336.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That is an extended warranty.
Another one that always fascinated me was the seatbelt warranty.
Oh,
Yes.
somebody asked that question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Seatbelt
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
Okay. The seatbelt warranty was fascinating. We had a salvage yard,
Mm-hmm.
and people would come in asking about a seatbelt. They wanted to buy a seatbelt.
Yeah.
And we would say, as long as the dog didn't chew it up,
Pretty much.
you can go back to Honda.
Mhm.
Is that seatbelt warranty still as expansive as it was in the past?
Not quite as much, but it's still out there for about 15 years, 150,000 miles.
Uh-huh.
If it's like a 07, I believe, or newer. If it's older than that, lifetime.
Wow.
So with very few exceptions. I mean,
Mhm.
if there's clear abuse or if it's been cut with a knife or something like
Or
that.
the dog chewed it up,
Right,
which was a big thing
exactly.
that we always talk about, yeah.
But there are a lot of people who get the retractors that get jammed up just over time, and
Sure.
those get taken care of.
So I have that problem with my Civic SI. I didn't know that was actually a thing. So
Bring it in,
really, because like
seriously.
sometimes I have a hard time just getting it to come out,
Mhm.
and then like I unclip it and it won't even go back. It just flops.
It might end up being a special order, but we can take a look at it.
There you go.
Sweet.
Dang.
What year is it?
2000.
Oh, you're fine, yeah.
What about CRXs? One of our longtime CJ's wiring, Carlos is asking, CRX seatbelts still warranty?
That's a possibility. I mean, we can always, the worst that happens is we find out, we ask. We
Yeah.
ask our district people, at Honda, we contact about parts availability. In the past at Acura, got old Integras warranted,
86.9 Integrity.
yeah.
So how would someone come in to get that done?
Call up, and ask to speak to somebody with older Honda experience, an advisor, and then just say, hey, I got a question for you. I got an older Civic with seatbelt retractor issues. I'd like to bring it in, just have you look at it and let me know if this is something that can be taken care of.
Right, and the dealership isn't gonna turn you away just because the dealership's actually getting paid by Honda to
Yes,
do this.
exactly.
So it's not like they're losing money.
Right.
They're still, so they want to do
You
that
get
job.
reimbursed by Honda for taking
Right,
care of these
and,
things.
and a seatbelt's an easy fix, I
Yes.
mean, so Honda's gonna pay the book time,
Mhm.
they're gonna provide the part, it's gonna
Exactly.
get done.
Everybody in the end is happy,
Yeah.
your safety gets taken
Yeah,
care of.
Honda's happy
you
because
know.
your safety,
Exactly.
the dealership's happy they get paid,
Yep.
you're happy because you're safe and your seatbelts
Absolutely.
are correct.
We get to build a relationship with a customer with an older Honda who, we can also do a free safety inspection, be like, did you know X, Y, and Z's wrong
Yeah.
with your car?
They
You know?
may find, other
Mhm.
issues, and that's how a lot of people's fear when they go in the dealership
Right.
is to wind up with a big repair bill and they're
Sure.
all done. But you'll help tell them which ones are necessary and which ones they might be able to put off for a while, and
That's the best part, is I have a lot of good master techs, they love these older Hondas, they love having them come in just from a nostalgic point of view. And then quite often, a lot of these guys own these cars, they know what to look for,
they,
you know?
yes, a lot of these guys are Honda enthusiasts,
They really are.
they like Hondas, that's why
Mhm.
they're repairing
Yes.
Hondas.
Would it apply to Acura too? Someone's asking.
Yeah,
They would have to take it to an Acura dealer.
Okay.
Yeah, has to stay Honda, and Acura.
There you
But
go,
the
Mr.
same-
Avila.
But the same,
The same principle
The same
applies.
principle to
Yes,
both. Okay.
absolutely.
yeah, they have the same policy, because it's all under more or less.
and obviously this
Honda.
is a nationwide, this isn't just local.
Right.
Right.
So this is Honda's business practice for, I assume,
Mhm.
North America entirely, I mean, maybe not Canada.
USA, I don't know what
USA.
Canada's warranty policies are,
Yeah,
sometimes
it
they
probably
mimic
has to do with
ours.
regulations.
True.
So, that's
Sorry.
fine.
someone
What's up?
said- Someone said the guy on the right looks a bit like Post Malone without the tattoo. So what's the nickname that we have for Carter?
I'm
Uh-oh.
eBay Post Malone,
eBay Post Malone, that's right.
it's
So-
the side profile.
Yeah. So, I wish he was, not that I like Post Malone, but he'd be supporting all of us.
Well, we'd have a
in
lot of money.
style.
Yeah.
We'd have all the Hondas. So Ken, the best thing that a person can do then, whether they're buying a new car, whether it's an old car and they come in to get certain things serviced, is to really build a relationship with one service manager.
Ideally,
Because when
yeah.
you get to know them, and as long as you're not
Toast.
a dick,
A dick
Yeah,
about it?
yeah, really, yeah.
you're gonna be, you want those people to keep coming back to you.
Right.
So you're not trying to overcharge them, you wanna do what they need, and
Yes.
you wanna build that relationship because
You're in
it's
for the long
good.
haul.
Yeah,
And a good advisor will basically categorize things as, this is visibly in need of repair,
mhm,
and they can point at it, show you whether if it's a filter or a bushing or, fluids that are dirty versus based on what Honda would tell you, hey, at 3 years, 30,000 miles, you should probably do this fluid or that type of thing.
Yeah, so
I
I never do that. And here's the other question. Where the heck do you park when you go to a dealership?
Every
I don't
dealership is horrible about that.
Understand. I'm like, oh my God, am I gonna park somewhere and somebody's gonna sell my car
Right.
before I get back to it?
Right.
Take the key with you.
Sometimes I just park in the service drive. I didn't know where I parked. You guys want to wash it while I go get my parts?
Yeah, I just, everybody has that question.
Yeah.
I used to do
How do
that
you
from
park?
my side until the kid got yelled at for washing my car every time I come
Oh
home.
yeah, go get the parts, get the car home.
Yeah, because I would go there, pull up. He really loves the car. Be like,
Yeah.
let me wash it for you. Go ahead, I gotta get some parts. Okay, we'll be right back. I come out with my parts and the car would be all washed up, cleaned up, like well taken care of. Like,
Yeah, they do a good job.
so one day I pulled up and I was like, hey, what's up? And he's like, hey. I was like, what's wrong? He's like, I can't wash your car anymore. He's like, why not? I was like, because you're not getting a service. I was like, okay, no problem.
Fair enough.
That's good.
That's fine. You know,
Yeah.
I've only ever gotten warranties done at Honda departments, although I've gotten like, I'm now on 6 airbags total across my cars, and
Including
Multiple
multiple
cars.
airbags, 4 in 1
the
car.
Accords had 4 airbag replacements,
Mm-hmm.
2 driver, 2 passenger. I
Yeah.
got them because I originally got them replaced right when it came out, and they
Yep.
put bad one back in basically. Now
Yep.
got to each replaced.
It's not that they were bad, it's that they had a lifespan.
Yeah.
And then that's what winds up happening. And that's really what the problem with the airbag is a lifespan.
Yeah.
After a certain period of time, it starts corroding and then you have shrapnel,
Yeah.
which is,
Clumping on the inside there.
right, exactly.
So,
So,
should we go back and answer a few
yeah,
questions?
let's answer a few questions.
Real quick, are we racing the NASA event on the coming up next month? We're not.
16th
November
and
16th and 17th.
Yeah, November 16th, we're gonna be at, Super Lap Battle.
And yeah, we'll be at Super Lap Out, and I probably won't be out until after the end of the year.
Right.
We're currently rebuilding my Prelude.
Yeah.
New motor,
Put a new motor in it and,
new dash, and
and rewiring the whole thing.
yeah, rewiring the whole thing so
Yeah.
it's nice and put together.
I will probably be at the VTEC Club event in December, in California.
No,
We
it's
haven't,
VTEC Club versus the world, or
Yeah,
something like that.
Honda versus everyone, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
All the things.
All the things.
That'd be good. So are you gonna talk about how Honda knows what you
Oh,
did? And
I figured we were
your-
taking a break to
Mm.
answer some questions, and we we're gonna
Oh.
hit that next.
Yeah, I got
Okay.
one real quick if you
Got
want.
it.
Yeah,
Sure.
go
Yep.
ahead.
Yep.
So someone was wanting to know the difference on some J series.
Yep.
So he was asking, what is the difference between a J32A3? Is it better than a J32A2?
One of those, I think, is a Type S motor.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
so.
A2 is a Type S.
I got. Let
Yeah,
me pull up
yeah.
Wikipedia
So if you
here.
go to Wikipedia on and type in J series or J Honda engine.
Yeah, any of those J series articles.
And it'll give you all that information. And basically what winds up happening is a Type S has a slightly different set of cams.
So J32A2
Yep.
is 0103 CL Type S
Mhm.
and 0203 TL Type S.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't give me the other specs on the A2. The A3 is 04 to 08 regular TL.
Yeah, so you're talking about less horsepower for the,
It's not telling you the horsepower on the J32A2.
A3 was 270.
270. Yeah, it
And
is telling
later,
you.
A2 is 270.
later revised
and
to
the other one was what,
258.
258? Okay.
Later revised to
04
258.
to 05 is 270
Correct.
at 238 foot-pounds. 06 to 08
Because
is...
they changed how horsepower was measured.
Yeah, that was when the SAE...
Mm-hmm.
Redefined
Right,
it. basically.
redefined.
And almost
Yeah.
everybody got knocked down.
Yeah,
a
so
little bit.
258
Yep.
and 233.
So ideally, the A3 is the most powerful.
Interesting.
Is
Yeah, it
the
makes
A-
sense. What?
I'm sorry, the A3 is the most powerful? What did it come in? Was it the base? Was that a
It
base?
just
or was
says
that a Type
04
S?
08 TL.
Because that was 270 versus the 260 of the second gen TL Type S.
I think the difference in the horsepower was less than 10 on the thing, but it doesn't matter. I mean, so the Type S motor is rumored to be the better motor. My favorite though is the J35s that come in the Odysseys.
Hmm.
They have more torque and they
Yes.
have, very similar horsepower. So I always thought that was a slight better motor.
You can get them just as cheap as
And
you
they're
can.
cheap.
Yes,
Cheaper than
Oh my
very
J32.
God,
cheap.
they're cheap.
Yeah.
Hey, we got Charles real quick. He's wanting to know if you can swap a GSR trans into his EF.
Yeah, I mean,
If you had the motor.
a GSR transmission, basically that just requires a different transmission mount, a different rear bracket, and some sort of a hydraulic conversion for the clutch. Hasport makes the mounts, the bracket, I'm sure Innovative does as well. And then either Hasport's Clutch Master adapter or the Hush Performance one would be your option on running hydraulic transmission. The shift linkage is basically the same, the axles are the same. In fact, you can use the earlier style intermediate shaft or the GSR style intermediate shaft. Just if you use the earlier 1993 style intermediate shaft, you have to change that oil seal on that side of the transmission. But
And that, Charles, he got that 1990 wagon, one owner before him.
oh,
Single owner.
nice,
That's awesome.
Whoa.
nice.
Oh, here's an interesting one. Has both to do with Honda parts department and
Yes.
wiring. Carlos from CJ's asks, how come some of my local Honda dealers will not sell me pin/service kits if I use the Honda part number, and I'll have to go city away to get them to get away for me to get it ordered? Is this a Honda thing or specific dealers?
That sounds like a dealership
I
thing.
bet that's a dealer thing.
Yeah.
In fact, I would just go to a company like AutoFair Honda, AFHK parts,
Mm-hmm.
and just order it, because it's gonna be 30% discount.
Yep.
I would just go to them and order it. Talk to Ryan Doolin. If you're looking for pins though, there are other sources for pins other than Honda. One of my two favorites are CycleTerminal.com. They deal a lot of the Sumitomo, Yazaki, and I forget what other brand, Honda pins and connectors. And then the other one is Corsa Technic. They have a lot of that stuff
Oh,
too.
they had some cool stuff on that
Yeah.
webpage I was looking through.
So, yeah, so both those companies for your Honda pins, so they're both pretty good. And then of course, if you know the part numbers, you can go to onlinecomponents.com or Mouser. So those work well too. Yep.
We have a question on your O2 sensor. So Jonathan Amador wants to know, do you know or have any recommendations on a good aftermarket primary O2 sensor for a K20A2? He's doing a budget EF swap and I don't want to spend $300 for an A2 at the dealership.
Amazon, they sell the OE one for like $80.
Yeah.
If you go to, I think it's a public list, if you look for Brian Gillespie budget CRX shopping list, I think on Amazon, I think I have the part number for that on there. I have the part number, well, that's probably for the 0506 one. Yeah, just go to Amazon and look for the 02 to 04 one.
I honestly just
So-
buy them used from Wrecking Yard. Like
Oh, we buy them
20
used
to
from Wrecking
30
Yards all the
bucks.
time. You get it for about $30.
And honestly, they last quite a long time
Go
still.
to carpart.com and look up
Car-part.com.
yeah, car-part.com and go in there and I forget what it's under. I think it's under engine, under sensors, and usually they'll call it an upstream oxygen sensor, not an air fuel ratio sensor, and usually find them for about $30. LKQ, which is a nationwide salvage yard, has them all over the nation. So,
Wow.
You want to
Thank you.
give I am Matt YC a quick update on the kit for swapping an L15 B7 turbo into a first gen Civic.
First Gen Civic.
Yep, he wants to know when the kit of swapping an L15 B7 turbo
Okay,
into
into
a
the
first gen Civic
Civic.
coming out.
Did you test fit one in your First Gen Civic or something?
No, I didn't.
Are we sure we're not talking
Are we
First
talking
Gen
about the fit? The fit.
He
No, he
said
says
Civic.
First
First
gen
gen
Civic.
Civic.
I'm not sure it even fit in there because
Doesn't even fit.
so it's too narrow.
Doesn't fit in a First Gen CRX.
No, it doesn't fit. No, it absolutely doesn't.
We tried that.
Yeah, so I don't know if we'll ever have that. We'll probably, one of the things we're gonna do over the next year is make some mounts we're gonna call universal mounts. So we'll probably have a universal mount kit for K series and a universal mount kit for the L15. Universal mount kit for the L15 B7 motors. And basically what that's gonna include is gonna include a rear engine bracket with a torque mount. You're gonna have to figure out how to attach it to, your subframe. We're gonna have and then right and left, we're gonna have mounts right and left, and then there'll be basically a generic bracket that you can weld in on the frame rails. But with that particular car, the first gen Civic, you're gonna wind up having to widen the frame rails in order to get that engine in there. It's pretty wide because of the size of the transmission. The transmission is actually bigger than a K-series transmission.
I feel bad. I read his question as the fit, probably because that's what you've been doing
Yeah, we've been doing
for
the fit
so
for,
long
yeah.
now, and I said yes. And
Oh.
and I'm like,
And he was
sorry.
like, oh, thanks.
Yes,
He was
yeah.
so excited. I
Oh,
just
sorry.
crushed his dream.
Yeah.
It'd probably be easier to fit that in the rear of the car and make it rear wheel drive than it would be put in the front.
I am sorry.
And more
about that.
interesting.
It'd be
Yes.
more interesting, but you're
Yes.
gonna have to widen the frame rails.
I got a good one for you.
Yeah, what's that?
We have Jay Boca 1973. Hey guys in the chat, I have a 5th gen Civic and I want to put a new engine. Can I swap a 7th gen to it? So I'm assuming the 7th gen would
The
be like,
D17,
D17?
crappy.
yeah,
whatever it is.
D17 into
Don't
an EG.
bother.
Why?
Yeah, don't bother. Put a B series in
Don't
it.
bother.
Put a B series in it.
Unless he's talking about the 7 SI and the K, but I
Right.
assume
Yeah.
not. I assume he's talking D
Well,
series
that was
and
the
D
EP3,
series.
right?
Yeah.
K
That is 7
23,
gen though,
but
so
they're
yeah,
still
the
shitty.
D17,
Yeah, an A3.
that thing
it's
is
better
a
than
weak-
the D that
that
comes in
thing's-
it.
that's not a good engine.
You're gonna look at it and the head's gonna warp.
That too.
Yeah.
I see a lot of those.
We actually have a question for Ken.
Okay.
Bentley Coupe, does your dealership use OEM parts and filters? I had a complimentary oil change in the Renton WA, and they used a premium guard filter.
We do carry them. I personally, whenever I do write up a repair order, I always tell people we're going to be using Honda parts and filters and so on and so forth. I do give them the option though, especially if they're budget conscious. We do have aftermarket stuff. So a lot of the larger dealership chains though, they're trying to promote their own parts. So always,
So,
yes.
they make more money on it.
They make a lot more money, so
Yeah.
they'll sell their oil filters, their oil, their fluids. There's a lot of additives out there, whether if it's BG or Mach and things
Yeah.
like that.
But they're buying the stuff in bulk,
Correct.
right, and.
As opposed to the actual individual containers.
Right,
So
yeah,
if
yeah.
you're really wanting to be particular with Honda fluids, do mention that to your service advisor. Hey, I want genuine Honda fluids or filters, things like that.
Yeah,
So
I did not know that.
We have another kind of wiring question for you, Brian. Burton Bros Performance wants to know, how do I make my VSS work with K-Pro version 4 using a 2004 Accord 5-speed transmission and a 2005 Civic Si engine harness?
well, you have to, change the vehicle speed sensor plug to a counter chassis speed sensor plug, and that entails, taking the signal wire, putting it into the new plug, but then instead of a 12 volt and a ground, it's gonna use a sensor, a logic ground and a sensor voltage, or SG, a VCC. So you need to find one of the 5 volt lines that is providing voltage to one of the other sensors. You need to find a sensor ground, which is usually a green, white, or green, yellow wire. And then those are what happens, because if you try to put the straight 12 volts to it, which is what the vehicle speed sensor uses, you're gonna burn up that sensor. Okay, once you've done that, now you're gonna input that information into your normal input on the ECU, but you have to disconnect the wire that goes from your adapter harness to your instrument cluster. And then you're gonna run a new wire at, might have to email me on this, brian@hasport.com. Off the top of my head, I believe it's B11, and basically that's an unsupported or undocumented hack with the K-Pro ECUs. There's actually a VSS output on that particular wire, and you can go into your software and tell it that you're using the counter shaft speed sensor versus the vehicle speed sensor. Then you can output a signal on there, and you can choose what the rate of that is by putting in what percentage you want it dropped, okay, in speed. And then you just kind of play around with it until you find it matches, use like GPS on your phone to drive, and you just keep adjusting it until you get it accurate. But that's how you do that. So anyway, email me, brian@hasport.com, and I'll I'll look up what pin that actually is and make sure that you, know where it is. Yes,
So, we've got someone local, J.A., and, he's got a bit of an urgent problem because he has to go to school in the morning.
Uh-oh.
And, he is trying to put the rear mount in his GSR 97 right now. And it's not going well apparently. And
so basically you wanna take off the 3 bolts that hold the bracket to the transmission. Alright, so, and then that's gonna allow you to get a little bit of movement on the bracket. You should be able to lift it up out of the way and slide your mount into place and then put it all back in together as kind of a unit. That's gonna allow you to do that. It's a little bit tricky in there because of the intake manifold on a GSR. It curls downward, so there's not a whole lot of room to play with. One thing that we've done in the past is we've actually used a jack under like the transmission and taking the transmission mount loose. And how do we do that? No, we didn't. We took the engine side loose. We took the engine side loose. Actually, we put like a piece of wood on the jack stand underneath the oil pan, and we lifted up the motor after disconnecting the rear bracket from the mount. We lifted up the motor kind of off that one transmission mount all by itself. You have to take the AC, AC bracket loose as well, so you can lift the motor. But we lifted the motor up, and that gave us some room to work with. That's a real pain in the ass on the GSR because of the way the manifold curls down.
Would you almost be buried at that point trying to pull the intake manifold to get enough room back there to like?
Well, certainly that would work, but
Yeah.
that's a
pain in
kind of
itself.
a pain in the ass because you
Depends on how
you
stock
gotta
it
get
is.
underneath don't you have to get underneath the motor to take some of the lower bolts off on
Yeah.
the
I
GSR
haven't played a
manifold?
B series in forever, so I don't know.
Yeah, so well, we would just actually take it loose and lift it up with on the
I struggled
On
on
the
the
lift.
lift when I was doing the V20, but I
where you?
loosened them up, got it to wiggle, and then slid the bolt right in.
Yeah, so, yeah, you wanna take the bracket loose, try taking the 2 bolts off the bottom, loosen up the top one, take the bolt out of the mount, maybe jack up the back side of the motor
Just to
off of
rock it
the,
forward a little.
just to rock it upward a little bit, lift on the back side of the block. Hopefully you can lift the bracket out of the way and lift it up a little bit further and slide the mount out and put the new one in and lower it back in position, so. Yeah, it's not much room to work on with that car.
So soon we really need to, I don't think we should go and do another discussion about it today, but we really need to do a Honda versus K-Tuner video.
Yeah, we got
And talk about all the similarities and the differences and why we prefer ones for certain things and others for others. I've had a few people asking. But we've gone into this before and it's such a rabbit hole that I think we should wait to answer that until another video.
I think that
Specific to J-swaps though, what would you use?
okay, so if you're using a drive-by-wire J-swap, you use a AM Infinity or a stock Honda ECU. Right now there's no K-tuner, no Honda available for the drive-by throttle cable J-series engines. The only choice, there's a lot of aftermarket choices. The one I've always used is the AM EMS Series 2. You can probably use a Mega Squirt and probably a couple other, of the more expensive ones. The one guy in Poughkeepsie, New York, how can I never remember his name? F1 Systems, what the hell? RPM Systems. He does a lot of wiring harnesses and a lot of aftermarket ECUs. I would talk to him about that, so. Anyway, cool.
Well, shall we talk about voiding warranties at the
Let's
Honda
talk
dealership?
about voiding warranty.
Now this was my favorite thing, cause when I went and bought my brand new Civic Hatch, they tried to sell me on the extended warranty, everything, and I had to finally they took me like to the sales manager's office where I found the paperwork. He's trying to sell me this stuff. Second time, I'm like, look, dude, I got like maybe 500 miles on this thing before I void the warranty. I'm like, we don't need to do this.
Right.
Why keep peeling up just the top of your label?
Because it was sticking up.
Oh, okay.
So,
Fair enough.
because I'm thinking about this whole thing as we're talking about it, and this brings up 2 points, not just one. One of them is buying extended warranties. When is that a good idea?
It's a great idea if you actually plan on keeping a vehicle, say 5-6 years, 100,000 miles, especially the more complex vehicles like a Pilot or an Odyssey.
Or
Yeah.
should I go? They call me like 3 times a week to sell me one.
Oh yeah.
you know, maybe I should.
And there are some good warranties out there, that they cover everything, and I mean,
Yeah.
like, my experience with certain ones that we deal with, these folks come in with a platinum warranty and it covers everything, whether it's the audio system, the ignition, all kinds of things, suspension parts.
Wow.
There are vehicles that come in with 90,000 miles, blown shocks, and everything's covered,
Wow.
no deductible. So those folks, maybe
It
they
worked out
spent,
for them.
yeah, they might have spent $3,000 on a warranty, but
They
You know,
saved.
Yeah,
probably
make their
saved-
money back.
they probably did in some cases.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a Honda to, you know, it should last, but still it helps.
And a good service advisor will work with you on that stuff too.
They'll actually go to bat for you with
Yes.
the warranty company just in case.
Absolutely.
Because the warranty companies, let's face it, they're going to drag their feet.
Yes.
You know what
It's
I
like
mean?
an insurance
They
company.
like, yeah,
when you
they
get
want to hold on to their money, you know.
Yep.
So, but yeah, but a good service advisor will go to bat
Mhm.
for you. All right, so enough of that. So I've got a brand new Type R.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they physically have to modify the computer in order for it to work. Is Honda aware of that if I bring the car in?
They might be.
They might be.
It depends on why you're coming in and what you're trying
Right,
to
if you're
get
gonna
done.
get your tires rotated or oil changed, they're not gonna look at
They're
your
not gonna
computer.
care.
Right,
It's not like Mercedes or Porsche where they actually do plug it in every time it comes in and
Mhm.
upload that information. Porsche specifically does that as an
Right.
example. With a Type R, the only time they're gonna really plug it in and upload anything to Honda is if there is a DTC fault, you know, check engine light, and you are actually trying to get some sort of recourse out of it. In which
you're looking for a repair because of this
Correct.
problem.
And even then, it's gonna require something major that we would find. Let's say clutch.
Mhm.
That's a big one, especially with the SIs.
So people go out and get it tuned for
Mhm.
354 pounds of torque and then blow out their clutch in
Yep.
20,000 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And then Honda is gonna be aware that,
Honda's gonna probably ask to get some more information, and that's when that may become a factor.
right, now that can't be hidden though. If you've got a modified computer, it's not really hidden.
Even if you reflashed it only.
To my knowledge, Honda can find out.
Okay,
Yes.
interesting. Interesting.
Certain models, at least. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. That
So
might
they-
require somebody else to answer that.
So, so if Honda requests the information, they're gonna get the information.
Yes.
If they don't request the information, you may be able to slide by,
Mhm.
because the dealership
Is gonna make their money out.
is gonna make their money either way,
Right.
so. yeah.
Well, no, they'll only make it if Honda doesn't ask for it, actually.
Right.
No, they'll
Sure.
make it the other way too.
Yeah.
They just,
Mhm.
they'll just, you'll pay instead of
Yeah.
the Honda to pay, so,
Right.
interesting. Have you had any, I mean, like K-Pros and stuff like that and
Mhm.
things, you know, clearly modified, there's a daughter board in it.
Mhm.
With the newer ones, they can basically rewrite over top of the existing programming
Mhm.
without really doing any other work. But obviously, I'm assuming it leaves a footprint, even if they change it back,
Mhm.
or fingerprint, or whatever you call it.
Right.
So, interesting. Now, so if I'm modifying a car, I'm not typically gonna get warranty. I remember we had an EP3, we bought a brand new Civic Si.
Mhm.
We basically threw first thing we did was put an RSX Type S motor in it,
Mhm. Right.
which was still under warranty, cause the car was wrecked from the showroom.
Right.
Okay. But I would not have expected Honda to cover the
Correct.
warranty on that. So, and then after that, we put a CRV bottom end on it, and then we put a supercharger on it, and this
Right.
was all in the first 2 years we owned the
Right.
car. So, we avoided that warranty. When we got the Type R,
Yeah.
the first thing we did with the Type R was we pulled the motor out.
Oh, you did
Mhm.
a track day first.
Oh, we did track day
Track
first,
day,
the
yeah.
first weekend,
Mhm.
Yeah.
then we pulled the motor out.
Mhm.
That didn't void the warranty though.
Right.
Because we put it back in, everything was fine.
Yeah.
You actually got the AC
We
warranty.
had one warranty repair, I forget what it was for.
the air conditioning.
Air conditioning, right.
They
There was
replaced
a-
the compressor on it.
Yeah, there was a problem with the compressor. But that, I highly doubt pulling the motor, put it back in caused that problem.
Right.
Because
'Cause
we
that's
did
the-
take it to get properly charged.
That's
Yeah.
the thing. Dealership has to be able to say to Honda, hey, this has actually happened
Right.
in terms of your car to, you know, I'm trying to remember the exact law, Magnuson, Moss, or whatever, that
Oh, yeah, yeah.
basically you, the consumer, you bring in your vehicle with a problem, it's up to the manufacturer to prove that whatever modifications you made to the vehicle actually would prevent
Yeah.
them from warranting it.
Oh, wow.
So basically, like a cold air intake is not gonna void your powertrain warranty, it's up to Honda, or, you know, specifically the dealership or the tech to point out, hey, you didn't install your cold air intake correctly, the filter's off, and meanwhile it's sucked in stuff, that's obviously not gonna be covered, but
Right.
again, there's a cause and effect to that. You know,
Interesting.
if you do an engine swap, that doesn't void the warranty for the entire car, it just voids the warranty
On the powertrain.
on the powertrain, you
Right.
know, I mean,
Wow.
door locks are still covered, I mean, you know, if your entertainment system goes out, it's up to Honda to say, hey, well, changing the powertrain would affect the entertainment system in X, Y, and Z ways, well, it doesn't, so.
By the way, that's one of the reasons we don't service cars at Hasport is, remember early on doing things where we would help somebody do engine swap or
Mhm.
cold air intake or something like that, and it's something so unrelated would happen to the car, and they'd come back and go, well, you were the last one to work on it.
Right.
I'm like, no, you don't understand.
Right.
This doesn't work that way.
This does not
Right.
work like that.
One of the jokes my techs like to say is, well, ever since you changed my wiper inserts, my daughter got pregnant. You know?
Yeah.
You know, just silly stuff like that.
Well, that's
so.
because they can see how beautiful she is
Right,
now.
exactly,
You
yeah,
heard it
Yeah.
here, folks.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, actually, when I took my Civic back for both of my warranties, I had my K-Tuner Flash version 2 still in the window
Mm-hmm.
for the reflash car, which I'm amazed nobody said. I think it's because I did not know, but the service tech that did my car was actually a friend.
Yeah.
I figured out afterwards, but I figured they kind of would have said
They
a little
probably
BS
took it.
on my blown mount that had 8,000 miles. And yeah, they probably took it for a joyride though afterwards.
That's probably
That
took it
car
for a
was
good test
quick.
drive. That was a fast car.
Yeah,
So,
that car was quick.
Yep.
It was funny. That was a hassle when I called in to get a warranty on the mount.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it's broken. I need a new one. We're like, well, and it was, mind you, I was like, for some reason I decided to go back to the dealership. It was for like 20 miles from my house, and they're like, well, we don't know that that's actually what's broken. I'm like, I'm staring at the fluid coming out of it. How are you doing that? I pulled it out. I can see that it's broken. Do you want me to send you a picture? No, we'll order one, I guess. Like, it just took like 15 minutes to convince this guy. I'm like, I'm literally holding the mount in my hand, sir.
I just puking out.
Yeah.
Puking out oil, hydraulic fluid.
I get in there and it's like, all right, so we confirmed it is amount. I'm like, I know, I told you that.
Yeah.
Hey Brian, real quick, what
Yeah.
is the page for downloading the PDF manuals?
On what? For Hondas?
Yeah, for Hondas.
Techinfo.honda.com.
Techinfo.
.honda.com. You can go try that. If that doesn't work, go to helminc.com, which is HELMINC.com. So Helm is actually the printing company for Honda manuals, and they have a link from their website to the subscription site. But it's like it's not like you download. All right, so let's back up here. So I'm going to answer this question a little bit more. This is for like newer Honda manuals, stuff like that. You don't get a whole PDF of the entire manual. You only have access to everything online. You can download individual pages if you want to. If you're looking for a PDF of an older Honda manual, the only place I've ever seen those online is HondaHookup.com. So
Asking your car groups too on Facebook. There's a lot of guys that have them that will give them out. They'll send them to people.
right.
Like my second gen Integra page has it in their group file, so you can go find the entire second gen Integra service manual through it.
That's
Thanks,
also
guys.
on HondaHookup.com.
Yes, it is. I'm sure somebody probably pulled it from there and
Yeah.
posted it in the
I'm
files
sure
there
they did.
too. But there's a lot of people that have that information
Yep.
laying around. And if you have a friend that's a service
And if you want to
tech,
buy a hard copy, I suggest eBay. I've
Yeah.
bought a lot of really good
Yep.
manuals for $40-50, which is half the price of what they were new
Mm-hmm.
back in the day, and some are in really good condition. So, all right, cool. So back to go ahead.
I don't know.
Got a question?
No, actually I don't. I was just saying.
No.
We got
questions?
questions. We
Oh,
just
go.
don't know if you want to
Oh
jump
yeah,
on.
we got like
Fire away!
11 minutes left.
You want to jump on back on the topic, or you want to just kill some of these questions?
Kill questions.
So
Question killing.
So we have one that was asked a little bit earlier about regarding the TPMS sensor.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see where it's at. It's on a 2015, here we go. Brett has a 2015 SI with a TPMS light and a traction control light stuck on, but no ABS codes. Any ideas?
So it means it's not the brakes, and TPMS sounds like at least one sensor is not responding correctly.
So if you get basically a TPMS code, one sensor is not responding correctly. If you get like the little vision of your car and one of the tires lights up, that means that tire's low.
Correct.
So TPMS, now, do these things have batteries in them?
Yes.
And did they stop using batteries and go to using strictly the
Wheel speed
wheel
sensors,
speed sensors?
yes, which have caused a different set of problems.
Oh, really?
Yes.
How fun.
Yes. Get a lot
How
of low
fun.
tire pressure lights and people panicking, and it turns out it's just a temperature difference.
Right,
Living in
you
the
get a
desert,
differential, right, in fact, you can
Or
have
elevation.
that, elevation, you could actually be out in the sun and it heats up one side of your
Yes.
car a lot and you'll get
Yep.
a code because
Absolutely.
So when that sensor goes on about every other day on
Right.
my truck,
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't, I look, everything looks good. Don't worry about it until I get the one that has the actual, shows me which tire it is,
Correct.
pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we should, obviously, do those have batteries in them? They can just be replaced or they have to replace the whole sensor?
That's a good question. On some of them you do.
On some of the batteries,
Yeah.
some is the whole sensor.
Like in the case of an older Element we were looking at the other day, we actually have to replace the sensors, and including labor, because you have to dismount and mount and all that. It was like $300. It was
Wow,
insane.
because I
Might
know
as
the
well
fix
sensors
it
where
were
it
not
tires.
cheap.
Right, and so I even asked the lady, I said, is this even worth it to you before we even proceed with that? 'Cause
Yeah.
we were able to do a scan on these things, it didn't charge the customer or anything like that, and just explained what the process was.
Right.
And she says, you know what, I'll stick with my tire gauge, and I said, great.
Yeah.
So if I took my truck into a Honda dealership,
Yep.
they could scan it
They
and
can
tell
scan
me
it.
what that issue is.
They can say, we're not getting a response from this particular sensor, and they'll tell you which one.
I know a service guy.
I say I would
Right?
be careful.
Yeah.
And I need to make a,
And
Does-
I already
does it-
have a
Does it say
relationship.
TPMS?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
if
the
it says,
orange
yeah,
light
if it
comes
says
on.
Yes.
orange with TPMS, that means that the system itself has an error, it's not responding for some reason.
I
Ah,
would say if you don't, I've gone to just get it plugged in
Mm-hmm,
because I had a VSA,
mm-hmm,
like the traction control light stuck on my 8th Gen 2,
mm-hmm.
and I went and got it plugged in, and they're like, "Oh, it's $100."
Right, a lot of people
Oh,
will
I
want a
didn't know
diagnostic
that.
charge,
Yeah, so
so the most important thing to do is build a relationship with a good advisor.
yes.
Cause, don't get me wrong, I charge diagnosis for some things, especially when we start to really dig deep. I'll tell a customer, look, if this involves any sort of prolonged examination, tearing things apart, and actually, you know,
Yeah.
Real
like if
labor.
I have to tear a door off or something, or pull the dash, I'm definitely gonna charge diagnosis. If I'm just doing a scan, I personally choose to waive the diagnosis for a lot of customers, because I wanna build that relationship with them and give them information and say, look, we know it's at least this, do we have your permission to proceed further? In which case, we would charge a diagnosis fee that would be waived if you ended up doing the repair.
Got it.
But you're at least paying for the technician's time. He's no longer just plugging in a scan tool. Now he's actually putting his training, his brains, his tools at risk working on the vehicle.
Sure, sure. He's actually investing something in it.
Exactly.
So that's why if you're local here in Phoenix, Tempe area, you should go to Ken
Chandler.
and Chandler. You should
Yeah.
go to Ken at AutoNation Honda and
Right.
build a relationship with him.
Bring him
And
candy.
And if you have a wife who needs a new Honda, still go to see him.
Yeah,
Or your parents, take your cars to
Yeah.
Ken.
Sister's cousin.
Build that relationship.
Hey, I got Len on here. He's asking a question. He's
Yep.
got an EP3 with a TSX swap. He recently tuned it. The car is since tuned. It bucks during low acceleration. Idles at 2,000 RPM, coming to a stop. He's checked plugs, swapped coils, new equity TPS sensor. It's still it's calibrated. I need help.
Who tuned it?
Don't say.
Yeah, I shouldn't throw that person under the bus.
Ah,
High idle is oftentimes caused by a vacuum leak. All right, so you might want to look for that. But the bucking and stuff like that is usually a a tuning issue. There may be a problem with part throttle tuning. So you might want to have a discussion with the guy that tuned your car. But if everything worked fine at the beginning and then kind of degraded, then I would look for a vacuum leak to begin with. Might do Doug's favorite, a valve adjustment. You'd be amazed at what that fixes.
That is true. Anytime you
Yeah.
tell, we had this old timer, I shouldn't even say old timer, he's been a Honda Master Tech for like 20 years. Anytime you complain about anything in the car, even if it's not Honda, even if it's not engine related, he's like, done a valve adjustment?
Yeah, exactly.
When's the last time you did a valve adjustment?
Yeah.
He knows
And
his
it
stuff.
yeah, your car ran so much better after the valve adjustment wasn't even fun.
Oh yeah, all of our cars have.
Yeah. So,
That guy's good. He doesn't even pull out the freaking feeler gauges.
yeah.
Have to
So,
double
yeah,
check.
I mean, I would, 2,000 RPMs usually, it could be a stock idle air control valve or ICV, but typically it's a vacuum leak somewhere. So check it out, particularly since you did a swap, something may have come loose that you didn't, tighten all the way or overlooked. There's a lot on the TSX, there's that one vacuum cap on the back side of the manifold that used to drive your front mount and stuff like that. So you might want to take a look at some of those things and see if they're not a vacuum leak somewhere causing the problem. Yes.
So, Willie, who is our editor, and actually is editor Willie, our editor.
Oh, he's
Willie.
actually on the,
He is on here
All right.
tonight.
Hey,
Yes,
Willie.
we miss you, Willie. What do we think of the K-series motors? He's asking for a friend. Since he's Carter's roommate, what do you think, Carter? Is he asking for a friend or what?
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
so,
Okay.
yeah, K-Series love him. I mean, he's got a first gen fit, that needs a K-Series.
Oh,
He's got an EP3, it needs a TSX motor. He's got
I don't know. I've been playing around with the J series more lately, and I'm trying to think K series is a little outdated.
hey, Len replied back.
That 300 horsepower.
yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the K and the fit's amazing. And we need to do
Yeah,
something with that
K's
anyway.
in anything.
I need to
are
redesign those valves.
Good
Yeah.
K's.
Yeah.
You got VTEC on intake and exhaust.
I
on the
was
car.
reading that.
Yes.
Yes, that is impressive.
Yeah.
Dude, literally
What, huh?
the only downfall.
So
is that
Len
goes
with the
down.
AP3 that's a TSX swap,
Yep.
the whole idle thing, he replied back saying it's Darden tuned.
Darden tuned.
Dardenton.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
We don't know.
I don't know. Of course I
Alright, have you tried going back talking to him about
yeah,
your
I would go back and
concerns?
talk to him and tell him what you're experiencing, but definitely look for a vacuum leak.
He said thank you,
That
guys.
would cause that high idle there. The bucking sounds like it might be a part throttle problem,
Hmm.
so.
Some tuners, when they don't really know what you're looking for, will go in and just go for the max
Yes.
wide open throttle tune if you don't really specifically
Right.
say what you're looking for in
Exactly.
the tune.
I mean, we've had cars that were tuned that we had to go back and have the cold start adjusted a little bit or
Clean
Part
up the
throttle
clean up the
issues.
part throttle
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've noticed the problem after the fact, but yeah, talk to your tuner.
Hey, Carlos, oh no, I'm sorry. Carlos, by the way, he was the one who did the whole pumpkin thing and wanted you to do pumpkins and you
Oh.
totally pushed that idea down.
I did push it down.
He did. He said, no, there's no time.
We already had Ken play.
Yeah, I forgot.
And I was not gonna, I bumped him once for, who did we bump you for?
For Chris, the
Oh,
whole,
Oh, it was
for-
right after
because
the
of
track day.
Yeah.
because
I
of
bumped
track
him once,
day.
I was not gonna bump him for pumpkins.
We'll do something for Christmas.
Do we have
There
a
you
word
go.
from our sponsors? Just kidding.
Yes,
Go for it.
Ashley at Crescent Crown Distributing here
Yes.
locally in Phoenix, was at
Hooked us
those,
up with some
She was at-
Secchi's stuff from
Yeah.
Dos
Mhm.
Gringos.
she,
Yep.
yes.
A bucket full of beers and a bucket and some cool coolers. Apparently she thinks we're drinkers.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
So-
Yeah.
I
Got some Dos
drank
Equis
all mine at
Ambers.
dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liquid dinner.
Time to hydrate.
And, yes,
2 minutes, 1
so
minute.
at Christmas, maybe we'll carve some pumpkins. How's that?
Want to get that last question?
We should make a
Yes.
Yeah,
gingerbread
wrong.
Honda.
Okay, here's the, gingerbread.
On to his question.
Candy cane
Yes.
shifters.
Candy
Here's-
cane
Not pumpkin, not pumpkin related.
Okay, so, yeah, not pumpkin related. Is Hasport having a Black Friday sale?
Mm.
We have for the last few years, I'm sure we'll have another one this year. I will, that's coming up pretty quick.
Yeah,
Yes, we will check on that to see what we've done in the previous years, but we have always done one.
I'm certain we'll do it
And,
again.
yeah, we will.
We haven't,
And-
we haven't discussed it yet, that's why I'm not being definitive about it, but, I'm pretty sure we will. We've done in the past, typically one of the reasons we do it is we slow down slightly in November, so it's,
Which we
it's
have
kinda,
not this year.
yeah, which we haven't slowed down yet.
No,
Holy crap.
God.
Yeah, it's busy. You guys, I can't get any work done, constantly making mounts and brackets, it's driving me nuts.
Seriously.
Such a trouble to have, right?
Such a trouble.
I've been
Yeah.
praying for the slow season, it hasn't come.
And no, we're doing great, so, but yes, we'll find out and, hopefully have an answer next Tuesday.
Alright,
And thanks to Ken.
alright, hey guys,
Yes, thank you for all the insight.
yeah,
Yes.
thank you very much for joining us, Ken.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that a lot.
thank you for having me.
Guys, if we didn't get to your question, go ahead and go in the comments section and post it, and we'll follow up like we did with these fine gentlemen.
Mhm.
Anyway, head on over to vtecacademy.com and purchase a t-shirt and show us your love.
No, that's a
If
no
you-
fair t-shirt.
If you like what you heard tonight, go ahead and smash on the like button. If you didn't, smash on it twice. Anyway, thanks guys, we'll talk to you later.
Have a good night.